Hello guys, and welcome to the Simple Guy's Guide to the NES Advantage. Now this is going to be a video talking about what this controller is and what I think is some of the best games to play with it. Now first of all, you also got to realize something is that I have not played every NES game. And I definitely haven't played every NES game with this, but this is going to be a quick start guide and a few games that I personally have and love to play using the NES Advantage, and a couple funny things to play just for complete giggles. So let's just get right into it, and I hope you enjoy. Welcome to DungeonCrack. So this is the NES Advantage. Now this is one of two of the world's most well-known in the turbo controllers of the NES system. Now the other one is the NES Max, which, if you're looking for an actual turbo controller, I gotta admit that this one is my second favorite, because the NES Max is better. I might do a video on the NES Max sometime. But, however, this is an amazing arcade joystick. It makes you feel amazing, so that's pretty much all the elaboration you need to know. You can actually, with certain games, if you press this slow button here, you can actually hold the start button, and it will slow down the game by pausing and unpausing rapidly. Then you can actually adjust the speed of the turbo using these little knobs here for A and here for B. Press these to turn the turbo on and off, and here's your buttons and your joystick. So a very standard NES controller, but on the same level, I do love this thing, but I don't love it for every reason under the sun. And so another thing is that this actually takes two controller ports, and you have to switch between player 1 and player 2 like so. So I'm not sure about how the other ones do it, but I find this to be just a really good controller overall. But so let's get into some games. That's where the meat of this video is going to come in, because I am excited to share with you my favorite games to play with this bad boy. Let's go! Alright, so I figured we'd start off with a little bit of a silly one and show you what not to do. So here I've got the original Super Mario Bros. Duck Hunt World Class Track Meet cart. So let's just go ahead, pop this into the AVS, which, if you guys do not know, is a NES that's for HD. I really like it. It can play Famicom, but we're not here to discuss that. That's a different video. But, however, the silly thing about Super Mario Bros. Is that if you let the turbo go, well, let's just see what happens, because I don't know what else to say about it. It's just silly. You cannot jump very high. Now, you can actually adjust duration, like, in how often you jump, so I imagine it's technically possible to beat the game this way. Any game can be played on this thing, to be clear, but, like, some to a better degree than others, though, if you know what I mean. It's not... Some of these you don't want to do. And so, that's something... I mostly just want to show you guys this first, so that way you kind of have an idea of what not to do. Pretty much any side-scroller that needs precise jumping, this controller will kill, because unfortunately, let's just turn all the way up, turn on the turbo. Let's see just how this works. So, okay, anyways, I think you guys get the point with what I'm trying to get done here, so that's pretty much it for this. Okay, you can do this. It's just going to take a lot if you want to play it with just turbo. Oh crap, I've done it now. See if I can't. Oh boy. Okay, I'm gonna stop because I'm playing a bit too much with pretty much what I consider to be the least highlightable game in this list, so let's just go. Next game. Alright, so my first suggestion for what you play is Pinball. So this is the black box Pinball, and let me tell you, actually a hell of a lot of fun. Joystick moves the left, A, B moves the right, and I don't know why, maybe it's just because it feels like it's actually turning your NES into a pinball machine, but it's just a really fun time, and honestly, if you want to get an NES to feel like an arcade joystick, this is a very, very efficient way to do so. Like, this is your solution to an NES-based arcade experience. Like, that's what I generally give this if I was to give this a lot of praise. I always did love these, some pinball games. Unrelated, but Pokemon Pinball is actually one of my favorites. Just considering the fact that, of course, I was born in '94. Of course, Pokemon's going to be kind of a big thing for me, and it was very much in the style of this game. Like, it had very similar ideas and very similar ways of play, but now I'm just talking about other pinball games, not particularly the NES Advantage. So again, get Pinball. It's a very, very cheap NES game that you can really just dig into. So let's move on to the next one. This may just be the most 80s thing I'm going to talk about in this video, and that's the arcade game. Now, the reason I put this on the list is because I'm going to go with, yeah, there we go, Raffy. Let's go. But honestly, again, it just feels like what I imagined, because I didn't get to play this anywhere but on the NES, but I imagine this is what it would have felt like to play it in some vague way in the arcades, and that's something I've never got to do. Is there's not really a lot of big arcades in whenever my time came. There was, like, of course you had the Pizza Time, Chuck E. Cheese, like, ones where it's just, you know, rack up coins and tickets and all that, but of course I don't really care much for those kind of modern arcades. I've always wanted to visit one that actually has, you know, real old school video games and stuff. Just never got to do it yet. One of these days, though, one of these days, I shall go and just do so. Like, ugh. This just feels amazing, though. Like, you guys, this is a game that's a little harder to find, but again, I think this game is worth it anyways. But if you ever get the chance to make this combo happen, it's actually a very, very beautifully fun experience doing it this way. Oh man. At this point, I feel like I'm not really adding much to this video, but there's a Pizza Hut product placement right there, which I've never noticed until now. Maybe it's just because I've always been paying attention to the action a little much, but I'm not very great at this game, to be fair. But anyways, okay, let's move on. I'm easy to distract with stuff like this. I'm having way too much fun with this. Let's talk Burger Time, because this is actually yet another arcade-like game, and technically I think it was an arcade game that's just really, really good. And it's honestly just kind of fun to play with this. It's not much better than the normal stuff. You may notice that I'm not using turbo, but again, just remember, I consider this to be more of an arcade controller compared to what is actually, you know, advertised here. You know what I mean? It's not really what it's meant for to a lot of people. Isn't exactly this controller's strength, if you ask. By the way, I suck at burger time. If you haven't been able to notice yet, I'm really awful at this. But I do like playing it with the NES Advantage just a good bit more than the controller. I'm gonna try my best here, but it's not, my best ain't gonna do much, so shite. Alright. Well, you guys get the picture. I'm awful at this game, but again, give it a try with the NES Advantage. Alright, so we're going to be looking into Top Gun, because honestly, this game is both good because of it being a joystick, it's really good for flying games, but it's also really good because of the fact that we actually have the turbo, so this is probably the most logical game to play this with. So let's just, yeah, get into it. By the way, there is not a lot of audio in this game, so I'm sorry about that. Yeah, it's going to be pretty fun, but let me see if I can't turn it up a bit here. Yeah, so as you can see, I only shoot one. This is not, you can't hold down to shoot unless you have a turbo controller. See, if I turn the turbo off, I'm holding it down. There's just one bullet per. But let's just go ahead and just turn that up to max, and suddenly you're going to have yourself a pretty good time trying to nail enemies with this gun, dude. It's going to be pretty fun to do. So I kind of feel like the turbo here is kind of cheaty in some ways, but however, this game is kind of ruthless at times, so my ability to care about into whether or not you're being a little cheeky cheat is a little bit limited whenever it comes to this game in specific. So yeah, this is just the training mission. Top Gun's never been my favorite, of course, but you know, it's worth a good mention on this list because it is actually just very, very good for this exact game. Let's go. Okay, there we go. Alright, moving on to the next game, because this one's kind of boring to look at, but it's actually a lot of fun to play, so I suggest it. Most of these games are not exactly expensive. The only one that's going to cost you a good bit is the arcade game, like TMNT's arcade game. So yeah. On to the last game and my biggest prediction for what you'd want to play. Not prediction, recommendation. So out of all the games that I have shown you, now remember this is not actually including games I don't own. If I would give you one game to play that I don't own, try R-Type or Life Force. Now that I think about it too. R-Type or Life Force are both amazing space shooters, and they're your best bet with this bad boy. And so with all that said, though, Millipede is probably my favorite game to play with this. So let's go ahead, pop her in, and show you what's up. Let's go play us some Millipede. So, this is actually the game that gave me the idea to do this video. Mostly because I absolutely just wanted to get the word out about the NES Advantage anyways, but however, check it out. So this game, the turbo itself does not really help, but given Millipede some arcade background, it's yet another one of those that I don't think the turbo is going to be useful on, but it feels so much better to play like this that it almost feels illogical not to play it this way. at all. Like, I do not want to play Millipede on NES without the Advantage now. This is just something I will not revert from. Alright. Yep. Well, either way, guys, I know this is not my normal shtick, but I kind of wanted to do this because I thought it would be fun, and I hope you guys have enjoyed. Tell me your suggestions for games to play with an arcade joystick or just the NES Advantage like I have down in the comments, and definitely thank you so much for coming. I've had a great time, and please check out some of these games because, trust me, they are all worth the buy. Alright, I've been John, and this has been DungeonCrack. Have a good one.